Good evening and hello again. Welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. Here's some news making rounds beyond the continent. Now, beyond the continent begins in Europe, where firefighters on Wednesday battled to contain multiple wildfires raging across the regions of Galicia and Castile and Leon in Spain. The fires, fueled by scorching temperatures, dry conditions, and strong winds, have claimed at least 2 lives and forced thousands to evacuate their homes. Emergency teams are working tirelessly to contain the blazes, but worsening weather conditions threaten to hamper their efforts in the coming days. Authorities are urging residents in affected areas to stay vigilant and obey evacuation orders as the fires continue to threaten more communities. Now, in the meantime, Greece is also facing a wildfire emergency as more than 20 blazes burn across the country, with one major fire threatening Patras, the nation's third largest city. Now, over 4,800 firefighters and 33 aircrafts have been deployed since early Wednesday to battle the flames, which are being fueled by a relentless heat wave sweeping southern Europe. One of the most dangerous fires is near the ancient Mycenaean site of Vodeni, just 7 kilometers from Patras, where thick smoke has forced evacuations and endangered nearby homes and forests. Across the region, countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, and Balkans, and the UK are also battling rising temperatures and wildfire outbreaks. Experts link the growing frequency and intensity of these events to human-driven climate change. Now, meanwhile, wildfires continue to rage across southern Albania and several Balkan countries as extreme heat and drought conditions fuel uncontrolled blazes and trigger emergency evacuations. Now, dozens of fires remain active across the region, with emergency crews stretched thin and firefighting aircrafts deployed for water bombing efforts. In Albania, firefighters are battling flames under sweltering temperatures as dry vegetation and high winds accelerate the spread. Authorities across the Balkans are issuing heat alerts and evacuation orders as fire lines threaten homes and infrastructure. Now, still on environmental matters, water levels at Woodhead Reservoir in Derbyshire have dropped dangerously low, exposing vast stretches of its banks as England endures its driest first half of the year since 1976. The Environment Agency has declared the water shortage a nationally significant incident, with 5 regions now officially in drought and 6 more experiencing prolonged dry conditions. Despite scattered rainfall in July, river flows and reservoir levels continue to decline. Experts are warning of worsening impacts unless urgent water-saving measures are adopted. With little certainty of sustained rainfall in the weeks ahead, authorities are urging the public to conserve water to help preserve dwindling supplies amid an intensifying climate crisis.
So I tend to come once every 2 to 3 months. This is by far the lowest I've ever seen Woodhead Reservoir in terms of the water levels. When it's full, it's absolutely beautiful, and when the sun shines out, the water glistens. But we started having the nice weather. It was back in April when we didn't have any rainfall for a few weeks, and we had the clear blue skies with lovely sunshine. So I think since then it's just dropped lower and lower over the coming weeks. Even at home, I try to use as little water as possible. Even when I'm cleaning my teeth, I don't have the water running as I'm cleaning my teeth. Even when I'm having a shower, you know, many years ago I used to have 10-minute showers, and now I just little it down to like a 2-minute shower because it just uses so much water. You know, I don't even use a bath because it just uses so much water in the house. Yeah, it does concern me. I do care about the environment, and I would also encourage people just to try and use as little water as possible. And
no, I haven't. It's very low. I've actually just driven from home to bring the dogs today, and all the reservoirs on this route are all, yeah, pretty bleak, really, very low. Yeah, not good. I guess so. I think we all need to make changes in that sense, especially when it's affecting sort of, the water and landscapes and whatnot. I think it's really important. But yeah, this is definitely the worst I've ever seen them.
Now, let's bring you update on the war in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron has said that any territorial negotiations concerning Ukraine can only be made by President Volodymyr Zelensky, reaffirming support for Ukrainian sovereignty. Now, speaking after a call with U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday, Macron stated that land-related decisions in Ukraine's war with Russia rests solely with Kyiv. He added that Trump would seek a ceasefire during his upcoming meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, a goal Macron called very important and worthy of support. Macron also revealed Trump is pushing for a future trilateral meeting between Putin, Zelensky and himself, possibly in a neutral European country. The French president noted that as of now, no serious land swap proposals are on the table.
Très important. Le premier, c'est que le président Trump a été très clair sur le fait que la volonté américaine était d'obtenir un cessez-le-feu à l'occasion de cette réunion en Alaska. Et c'est très important qu'à l'occasion en effet de cette réunion, il puisse y avoir un cessez-le-feu qui soit obtenu par les États-Unis d'Amérique, et nous soutenons cette initiative, en même temps que de nouveaux échanges de prisonniers et des libérations d'enfants. Le deuxième élément sur lequel les choses ont été très claires et exprimées ainsi par le président Trump, c'est que les questions territoriales qui relèvent de l'Ukraine ne peuvent être négociées et ne seront négociées que par le président ukrainien. Et c'est la position que nous soutenons. Elle a été très clairement exprimée par le président Trump.
In the meantime, Russia has dismissed any, or rather as insignificant, the European diplomatic consultations with Ukraine held ahead of the upcoming summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Deputy spokesman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, Alexei Fadiev, criticized the Europeans for verbally supporting peace efforts but actually sabotaging them. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders held urgent talks with Trump, seeking to ensure Kyiv's interests are respected at the summit. Zelensky has pushed for a full ceasefire, a proposal rejected by Russia. EU leaders emphasized Ukraine's right to choose its destiny and the inviolability of international borders. Russia warned it will monitor European actions to prevent any obstruction of the Alaska summit.
Рассматриваем выпрашиваемые европейцами консультации как политические и практически ничтожное действие.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that Russia will face very severe consequences if President Vladimir Putin refuses to agree to end the war in Ukraine following their meeting in Alaska on Friday. Speaking at an event at Washington's Kennedy Center, Trump said he is prepared to organize a follow-up meeting involving both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but only if progress is made. He described the potential trilateral talks as a quick second meeting aimed at securing a ceasefire. However, Trump stressed that if he doesn't get the answers that he needs to have from Putin in Alaska, then there will be no second meeting.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will there
will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes. And we're going to meet with, I would say the second meeting, if the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, Palestine condemns Israel calls attack on journalists a war crime. We'll be back with the details. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's turn our attention to the Middle East. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is again suggesting Palestinians should be allowed to leave Gaza as his military prepares to widen its offensive on the territory. Now the comments come as new efforts are underway in Cairo to secure a 60-day ceasefire. For News Central's senior international correspondent, Afia Hagen here has more.
In a rare interview with Israeli TV, Benjamin Netanyahu says he's not forcing Palestinians out of Gaza, but wants to give them the option to leave both combat zones and the territory itself. Israel controls most Gaza border crossings and for years has restricted movement in and out. Any mass departure would evoke painful memories for Palestinians of the Nakba, the mass displacement during Israel's creation in 1948. The comments follow earlier proposals by US President Donald Trump to resettle Gazans in neighbouring countries and calls from Netanyahu's far-right ministers for so-called voluntary departure. Meanwhile, in Cairo, Egypt's foreign minister says mediators, including Qatar and the US, are pushing for a 60-day truce. That would include releasing some hostages held by Hamas, freeing Palestinian detainees, and allowing unrestricted humanitarian aid into Gaza. A Hamas delegation has already arrived for talks, but Netanyahu says he opposes any staggered release of hostages, insisting all must be freed as part of ending the war under Israel's terms. The push for diplomacy comes as Israel steps up airstrikes on Gaza City. Local civil defense says at least 33 people were killed on Tuesday alone, with heavy bombardment shaking neighborhoods for the past 2 days. On Sunday, an Israeli strike killed 4 Al Jazeera staff and 2 freelance journalists outside a Gaza City hospital. Israel claims one of the victims was a Hamas militant. It has provided no evidence for this claim. The war, now in its 22nd month, began with Hamas's October 2023 attack, which killed more than 1,200 people in Israel. Since then, Gaza's health ministry says more than 61,000 Palestinians have been killed, a toll the UN considers credible, while aid agencies warn famine is looming. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
Meanwhile, Palestine has strongly condemned the killing of 6 journalists in an Israeli airstrike near a hospital in Gaza City, describing the attack as a war crime. Speaking at a press conference in Ramallah, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Varsen Aghabekian insisted that such attacks violate international law. The strike, which occurred on Sunday, claimed the lives of 4 Al Jazeera staff and 2 freelance reporters. Israel has accused one of the victims of being a Hamas militant, an allegation Palestinian officials reject. Shahin called on global institutions and media organizations to hold Israel accountable and protect press freedom amid the ongoing conflict in Gaza.
ندين وبشدة جريمة استهداف الصحفيين. كلنا بعرف ايش صار في فلسطين. اليوم في عنا تقريبا 240 صحفي وصحفية قتلوا بوحشية منذ أكتوبر 7 2023 وبدنا كل يوم نذكر العالم إنه هذه جريمة حرب وهي جريمة ضد الإنسانية. إحنا بنرحب بإعلانات الدول اللي بتصدر تباعاً عن الاعتراف بالدولة الفلسطينية واللي كان آخرها إعلان أستراليا. واليوم في عنا تقريباً 8 دول أعربوا بشكل مؤكد أو بشكل يعني كتير كبير إنهم رح يعترفوا اللي هن بريطانيا، فرنسا، سان مارينو، أستراليا، كندا، نيوزيلندا، سنغافورة ومالطا. واللي دولة فلسطين المسؤولية الكاملة في قطاع غزة بدعم عربي ودولي. حماس ما إلها دور في الحكم في اليوم التالي في قطاع غزة. على حماس تسليم أسلحتهم إلى قوات الأمن الفلسطينية لأننا لا نريد هذه الأسلحة في الحكم. لا نريد دولة فلسطينية مسلحة. لذلك بتواصل دولة الاحتلال التمرد على كل الاتفاقيات. يعني دولة الاحتلال دولة بصراحة مارقة.
Now, predominantly Muslim Indonesia has deployed 2 Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircrafts to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza amidst the ongoing conflict. The Indonesian military coordinated with the Royal Jordanian Air Force to airdrop food, mineral water and medicines directly into Gaza from Jordan's King Abdullah II air base in Zagreb. Using the low-cost, low-altitude method, 28 packages weighing 160 kilograms each were dropped, providing much-needed relief to the besieged population. In addition, Indonesia plans to temporarily shelter and provide medical treatment to around 2,000 wounded Gazans on Galang Island, utilizing existing medical facilities there. The Indonesian government emphasized that this is a humanitarian effort aimed at saving lives and supporting those affected by the conflict.
Republik Indonesia yang disampaikan melalui Kepala Kantor Komunikasi Presiden, di mana Indonesia berperan aktif mendukung penyaluran bantuan kemanusiaan melalui operasi airdrop dari Pangkalan Aju Yordania. Pelaksanaan misi ini memiliki makna strategis karena bertepatan dengan peringatan Hari Ulang Tahun ke-80 Kemerdekaan Republik Indonesia. Momentum ini menjadi pengingat bahwa semangat kemerdekaan bukan hanya diwujudkan dalam menjaga kedaulatan bangsa, tapi juga dalam berperan aktif membantu sesama bangsa yang sedang berjuang untuk hidup damai dan merdeka.
Disampaikan 800 ton, bahkan 1.000 ton pun kami siap, baik itu dari Mesir maupun dari Yordania. Kami sudah punya barang di Mesir 350 ton dan di Yordania juga ada barang sehingga tinggal mendistribusikan yang ada di Yordania.
In the meantime, 4 Israeli mothers whose children are still held hostage in Gaza met privately with the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross in Geneva, calling for urgent international intervention. During the meeting with Mirjana Spojarik and also Red Cross president, the women pleaded for greater global pressure on both Hamas and the Israeli government to end the ongoing war and secure the release of all remaining hostages. Now, out of the 251 people abducted during the Hamas-led attack on Israel in October 2023, 49 remain in captivity. The Israeli military has confirmed that at least 27 of those are believed to be dead. The mothers say time is running out and are urging world leaders to act swiftly to save lives and bring the crisis to an end.
I want them to feed him. I want them to give him medicine. I want to know if he's still alive, because in this condition, it could be a few days that he's not survive anymore.
Estoy dividida en dos. 2 de mis hijos están conmigo y 2 están en Gaza. Y espero que muy pronto pueda poder verlos. Y lo que pido al mundo, que griten mi grito, el grito de una madre que pide por sus hijos, que los devuelvan a casa.
He was tortured, he was starved, he never, from that day, never see daylight, and the last sign of life we got from him was 6 months ago.
Fighting is not a solution. The only solution to bring Nimrod and the other of the hostages is only to end the war and sign a deal. And that's what we are talking all the time against our government and in the entire world, that we need an agreement. Also, we need that the world will pressure Hamas and our government, not only our government, because Hamas also give conditions and it's difficult to deal with them.
Iran's top security official has reaffirmed Tehran's commitment to supporting Hezbollah, following a new move by the Lebanese government to weaken the group's military capabilities. Ali Lijani, Iran's national security chief, made the declaration during a visit to Lebanon on Wednesday, just days after Beirut ordered its army to draft a plan for disarming the Iran-backed militant group. Larijani's trip underscores Iran's opposition to the disarmament push, which is being backed by the United States and the newly formed Lebanese government. Before last week's war with Israel, Hezbollah was believed to be more heavily armed than the Lebanese military. However, since a ceasefire was reached in November 2024, the group's influence has declined. While in Beirut, Larijani is expected to meet with top Lebanese leaders, including President Youssef Aoun, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam, and Parliament Speaker Nabib Berri, a close Hezbollah ally.
تصمیمی که دولت لبنان با همفکری مقاومت بگیره مورد احترام ماست.
و أي قرار تتخذه الحكومة بالتعاون والتنسيق مع فصائل لبنان نحن نحترمها تماما.
بحث زمانبندی که من گفتم مربوط به اون چیز ورقه‌ای بود که امریکایی
Turkey and Syria have issued a strong joint warning to Israel, accusing it of fueling chaos in Syria and calling for an end to all foreign interference in the country's fragile recovery process. Following high-level talks in Ankara on Wednesday, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan and his Syrian counterpart Assad al-Shaibani pointed fingers at Israel and Kurdish fighters in northeastern Syria, accusing them of undermining recent positive developments. Fidan described Israel as one of the biggest actors in the dark picture, blaming its ongoing military actions for escalating instability since the fall of Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad late last year. Shaibani, standing alongside Fidan, echoed the concerns, warning that Israeli airstrikes and threats are creating new challenges no less dangerous than the years of civil war.
Bu süreçten rahatsız olan bölgedeki belli aktörlerin Suriye'deki bu olumlu gelişmeyi olumsuza çevirmek, durdurmak için belli eylemleri hayata geçirdiğini görüyoruz. İsrail'in bölgedeki yayılmacı politikalarının biliyorsunuz bir ayağını da Suriye oluşturmakta. Özellikle Suriye'de karışıklığın çıkması, zayıf bir ve kaotik bir ortamın olması İsrail'in kendi ulusal güvenlik değerlendirmeleri için bir öncelik parametresi haline gelmiş gözüküyor. Türkiye bölgede bir işgal ve dominasyon peşinde değil. Ama Türkiye'nin güvenlik taleplerinin tatmin edilmediği bir ortam.
And that's all this hour. Now do remember, you can send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.